Stablecoins aren't just crypto anymore. They're regulated financial instruments across the US, Europe, and Asia. The world's 3 biggest economies have just passed major stablecoin laws, and if you're a founder or investor, your roadmap has changed. If you want to know how to launch and scale legally in 2025 and beyond, let's break it down. Hey everyone, I'm Corey, a startup lawyer helping entrepreneurs decode law, technology, and innovation. Today we're diving into the new global legal infrastructure for stablecoins. I'm going to walk you through the following. The key big frameworks out there, which are the Genius Act, MiCA, Hong Kong Stablecoin Bill, along with FATF. Next, we're going to look at common legal blind spots that can stall launches. We're also going to take a look at go-to-market models and a checklist for founders out there that you may want to consider. So what are the 4 pillars of stablecoin regulation? Currently in the US, you've got the Genius Act, which was signed July 2025, and this establishes a federal licensing system for US stablecoin issuers. The requirements under the Genius Act include one-to-one reserve backing, monthly attestations, full Bank Secrecy Act compliance, and the key takeaway here is unlicensed issuance of stablecoins is now banned in the United States. Okay, so for MiCA. MiCA is the Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation, and it covers the European Union. MiCA is effective from June 2024, and it requires full licensing, redeemability at par for stablecoins, and it's a ban on algorithmic stablecoins. Key takeaway, MiCA opens all 27 EU states with 1 license. I also want to flag that MiCA covers more than just stablecoins, and be on the lookout in the link below for the video on that topic. Okay, so Hong Kong Stablecoins Bill. Going live August 1st, 2025. The Hong Kong Stablecoin Bill requires high-quality reserve backing, Hong Kong-based trust custodians, real-time redemption rights for all stablecoin issuers. And the key takeaway here is that Hong Kong is trying to put itself forward as the jurisdiction in Asia that's going to offer APAC legal clarity. We'll see how this plays out. Next, let's look at the FATF 2025 guidance. The FATF stands for the Financial Action Task Force, and this is a global body that sets global money laundering standards and compliance. So, what is the FATF doing? They're setting the global standard on travel rule enforcement, collecting sender and receiver data, restrict unhosted wallets, enforcing audits. The key takeaway with FATF is it's driving compliance across 80+ countries. So what are some blind spots that teams may miss? 1. Redemption mistakes. Each region now is going to be enforcing redemptions of stablecoins slightly differently. Misalignments can trigger enforcement and other compliance issues as well. Reserve custody conflicts. If you think about it as a stablecoin issuer, under the Genius Act, you're going to be required to use a US custodian. Under MiCA, you're going to need to use a European Union custodian. And in Hong Kong, you're going to need to use local trust structures. So as you can see here, we're starting to see the balkanization or polarization of the various global regimes, and each regime saying that if you're a stablecoin issuer in our jurisdictions, we're going to want local providers, local custody, and someone to be able to go after in that specific jurisdiction. Okay, next, we've got travel rule failure risk, the old tech not being able to handle the new FATF standards. Also, you need to keep in mind that banking is not the same as licensing. Even licensed issuers may face bank rejections as we look at all these different jurisdictions being involved. Okay, so now let's look at go-to-market models. One approach is an Asia-first model. So you could use Hong Kong or Singapore potentially to launch in the APAC region. From a scaling up perspective, there's the European Union and using MiCA for all 27 EU countries. And in the US, we can round it out with a more institutional approach where the Genius Act is giving legitimacy with banks and enterprise, but there will be a cost for compliance there. Now, what are a checklist of things you need to think about if you are looking to launch in this space as a stablecoin issuer, or you're looking to have products and services that are built on stablecoin rails? You're going to need to make sure your entity is structured for Genius, MiCA, or Hong Kong Stablecoin Bill compliance. You're going to need to understand the reserve requirements aligned to local rules in each of the various jurisdictions. And there's going to need to be a travel rule tool or system in place, and redemption mechanisms are going to need to match disclosures. That's going to be key given that all 3 jurisdictions are really keening in on how redemptions are handled and making sure that from a customer protection standpoint, people can get their money back. FATF compliant counterparties only is looking like it's going to be the norm, which means that FATF travel rule compliance is going to be the norm. There's going to need to be bank partner onboarding, so you're still not going to be able to avoid banks even if we're trying to go digital first, crypto first world. And they're going to need to be country-specific disclosure kits prepared, meaning that wherever you're operating, there's going to need to be disclosure regimes that are customized for those specific jurisdictions. And as always, in this ecosystem, there'll need to be a pivot plan in case there are changes in specific jurisdictions. For those who've been in this space for a while, you know that while today we're seeing all this legislation pop up, but I would recommend that no one think that the present is always going to persist into the future. And therefore, I do think there need to be plans in place in case perspectives change in the future. So let's recap. Global stablecoins are live in the US, the European Union, and Hong Kong. With the Genius Act, MiCA, and the Hong Kong Stablecoin Bill can now determine your market access. The FATF travel rule is the enforcement backbone globally. Legal design is important here in structuring. If you ignore it, the scaling and compliance can become quicksand for your project. Join me on the path to decoding law, technology, and innovation to grow your business. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time.